Hey, everybody, my name is Darren, and we are here today to talk real life about situations of life that all of us go through. We all have hurts, hang ups, habits. We all go through chaos and crazy and messy things in life. And so, Talk Real Life is a broadcast from North Parkway, Assembly of God here in Pekin. And I am looking forward to bringing to you our guest today. Jenny Pruss has joined me, and we're going to talk about real life. And we hope that you will watch this, share it with your friends, tag and share. We want to get the word out that, we all have future hopes and dreams, and things that we encounter in life are oftentimes turning us around and away from our future hopes and dreams. But we're also here to talk about the Lord, because without God, there would not be an exit out of some of the things that we've walked through. So we're here also today to talk about the greatest higher power that any one of us could ever have, and that is in Jesus. So we're going to talk to Jenny today and find out a little bit about Jenny's story and get into some details, but we're also going to talk about what the Lord has done in her life and the turnaround that she has experienced in her life. So Jenny, welcome to Talk Real Life. Thank you for being with me today and taking this time. And no further ado, really today, love to have you just get right into your story and tell us a little bit about the old Jenny.
Great. Hi, Darren, and hi, audience. I guess I'll just start with the basics. I was born in Peoria, and I was born to two of the most loving, supportive parents that a girl could ask for. I was given every opportunity that a person could want growing up. My home was safe. I did really well in school. I traveled a lot. I was shown a good work ethic through my parents.
Absolutely.
And a good work-life balance. It wasn't like they were always at work and I was left alone or anything. And I'm saying this to let you know that I didn't come from a broken home. I didn't come from abuse. I didn't have any childhood neglect or any big things like that going on in my childhood. And for many years, that was a cause of shame for me because I felt like I still went down the path that I went down, and which I'll share here more in a minute. And even though I had all these opportunities, everyone else kind of had an excuse and I didn't. So it kept me in my addiction for a long time.
Absolutely well put. I mean, oftentimes we think of people who have gone through some of the greatest pains in life, and we often question the family life. We question how they were raised, and that's just not the case. For many, like yourself, you can't use that as an excuse or put any blame there. So I don't know, that just makes your story very real. I'm certain for folks that are watching here today too.
Thanks.
So yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of people out there that can relate to that. And so that's why I want to tell that part of it.
Absolutely.
My bad choices began when I was a freshman in high school, I would say. At least that's when I remember starting to make bad choices. My group of friends changed for a variety of reasons, and I started drinking, using pot, taking acid, shrooms. We were like a skater chick type
Right.
group.
Right.
And it was accepted in my group. As long as I kept good grades and was involved in school activities and followed the main rules, my parents were very lax with me on things as long as I was meeting those priorities. So I was always bringing my books home and stuff.
Yeah, so you kept things cool at home.
Yes.
Kept a good appearance at home.
Yes.
Cross the T's, dot the I's, but lived a separate life from what mom and dad were even probably aware of.
It's good that you point that out because that's kind
Yeah.
of a theme you will see is leading two different lives.
Wow.
And so,
Okay.
yes, I graduated from high school in '99 and went to Bradley University. I got my bachelor's there. The cocaine use and all the other drugs kind of stopped while I was there. I excelled while I was at Bradley. I was president of many organizations, clubs, had good grades. I did drink a lot, so it was Thirsty Thursday, Wing Wednesday,
Right.
Dive Bar Sunday,
Right.
every night of the week. And I did notice then that I was drinking more than my friends were. But I was still able to lead those two lives and still able to do what I had to do, and it went pretty successfully. So I met Tony my senior year of college, he was not at college. He lived a totally different lifestyle that I was intrigued by. And it was the partying lifestyle. I did end up graduating from Bradley, but when I did that, I took a job and a career in our family business. We own a small oil and business, industrial supply.
Yes. Yeah.
So started that, and I was I started cocaine again, and then introduced to the love of my life at that time, and that was crack cocaine.
Wow.
I remember the first time I picked up a crack pipe, and I thought didn't want to touch it with my lips because it was dirty. I remember that like it was yesterday. I remember the
Wow.
first time I touched it. I won't go into any more details than that, but it took me down some pretty bad paths at that point. All my morals went out the window. That 2 life thing, I still managed to do it, but crack cocaine is a very expensive drug.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I knew I had to do other things in order to get that money. So criminal activity,
Yeah.
all sorts of things.
Could I maybe ask a question right here? Before we started the broadcast, you were talking to me similar storyline, and you kind of referred to it as a saving drug, kind of like a savior.
That
Like,
was
explain that. Like that's something I think very interesting.
it was the meth
The meth that
that
became
did that. Yeah.
the savior.
So the crack cocaine took me to all these different. I became a criminal. My whole life changed. I was in bad areas, bad groups of people, stealing from my parents, all of that. And then I got introduced to meth, and crystal meth was a saving grace to me because it put money back in my pocket. It's not a real expensive drug compared to the other.
Okay.
It got me out of the bars. I wasn't drinking anymore. So everything that having money again, I remember not even having shampoo and conditioner where I was staying because I was not going to spend the money on that. It was on drugs. And crystal meth put all that back with me. So
Very interesting.
yes, I
And
was
only
at
those
work early.
Only those who've been down that path could identify
with that.
with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow.
My home was clean,
Yeah.
because of the drug does certain things to our mind and
Okay.
things that. So that happened. I was introduced to the crystal meth. My choice of men is awful, to say the least. And I was now living with and sharing a home with a man who cooked red phosphorus crystal meth.
Okay.
So that was going on and everything that happened with it. Within about 6 months, I noticed things were really off. I was staying up for 7 days at a time at this point and working and doing everything, trying to function.
Wow.
It went downhill real quick, and he had an obsession. Him and his best friend had an obsession with porn and movie making and some really demented things. And I became the center of that and had no idea how to get out of it.
Trapped.
Yes, especially because I wasn't in my right mind and I had all this shame and everything that was going on anyway.
Yes.
So I isolated, which the abuse became really severe. I was raped repeatedly by both of them, and there's time periods in that I have blocked out that I can't get back, so I
Sure.
don't really know what happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, he got picked up by the U.S. Marshals, and I ended up, as a result, had felony drug charges, manufacturing charges, and a baby in my tummy.
Wow.
So that happened. I put the child up for adoption. It was a decision that was made because I felt like that was what was right in my heart. The child would never be safe here because he's
Right.
still around.
Right.
And I was in no place in my life to raise a child.
Yeah. It's amazing to me that you recognized the chaos and the crazy.
Yeah.
Because there's many who don't and get pregnant and have these children and raise these babies in that same environment. And you and I have a mutual new friend that I won't mention his name right now, who grew up in that environment of literally cooking with his own parents and went right into that lifestyle. So I don't know. It's amazing to me as I'm hearing her talk that she recognized you can't raise a life in that environment. That's amazing, Jenny.
And that's where God stepped in,
Yeah.
because I couldn't take care of myself. And like you say, that I noticed that it was just something that was tugging at my heart. Even though I wasn't sane and my reality was extremely off, I feel like God stepped in and did that. And it gives me goosebumps, because to this day, I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
And he was healthy. I didn't know I was pregnant until I was 6 months. So using all that time, and it's
Wow.
amazing to me that God's work in
Wow.
situations that you would never think that he was working, and he is.
And so, Jenny, I guess it would have been about this time in your life that the next chapter of your life happened, which would be the incarceration.
Yes.
Yeah.
In 2009, my legal name now included R85644, because I was inmate at Illinois Department of Corrections. Got sentenced to 7 years there, and when I got out, I was right back into the life within a year. So I started using IV drug use after that, with cocaine and with meth. Got into bad relationships, abusive relationships, and the story could repeat itself almost.
Wow.
Besides the extreme part of it.
Wow. So even after the crossroad where you could have come out, you're clean and made different choices, you didn't. You weren't ready. But that's not where the story ends. And the reason we're here with Jenny today is because her story didn't end at that crossroad of chaos and crazy and the mess of life that many of us go through. Her story continues from there. And so I'd like for us, Jenny, to kind of transition into the journey of hope and healing. So tell us, maybe I know you could write a book, but tell us maybe some of the key things that got you from that crossroad. Incarceration didn't do it, but obviously there was a point in your life where you decided to go left instead of turning right, or turning right, I guess, instead of left. And so that was your journey to hope, healing, and your future hopes and dreams, which you're beginning to live out now in an incredible way. But talk to us. How did that start? What's been a part of that? And
The main things.
the main things, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And May 1st of 2019, I went into an inpatient facility. I took myself there. It was the first time that I had chosen to go on my own. And I guess God stepped in. And I had kind of a spiritual awakening, if you want to call it.
Sure.
And there was a lady there that I feel God spoke to me through. And there was just a recipe of things that happened that I can't explain, and it was a bunch of different things that led to keeping me where I'm at today.
I love that word, recipe. Tell us about the recipe.
Well,
Yeah.
I think one of the parts of it is stability. I bought a home, and that is a stable place for me on my own. I have eliminated men from my life that in a relationship sense.
To find you, to discover the you,
Yes.
free from relationships.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
And there's a degree of transparency in my life, of honesty. I've built a support group of women and people in my life that don't judge me, that I can be totally honest with, even if I'm having a thought that I think is stupid. I can share it with them.
Yes.
And it's taken a while to get this group of people, but they're very valuable to me. I think one of the top 3 things for me that have kept me sober.
Yes.
Is it okay to go into that?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. That was one of the probably the most important questions today for Jenny is what are, 2 or 3 things that you would say have been keys to you that somebody listening to us right now who's either been down the same, similar, or even worse road that you walked, what would you say to them? These are 3 things, must-dos, keys to freedom, to getting out.
Number 1 would be having a personal relationship with God.
That's awesome. Glad to hear you say that.
And
For
I'm
many
not just
reasons.
saying that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it really is. And I think everybody has to define that on their own. For me, it was taking the time and quieting my mind and my life enough and searching him out to find out what he is saying to me. I always heard do God's will, listen to what God has to say to you, and I never knew how to do it. Like I would pray it and then I didn't know how to do it, and it was taking a step back and getting in the word, praying, going around people who he speaks to me through, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So that's number 1, and that kind of guides me to all the other
Sure.
points
Yeah.
of, that's the main
Yeah.
foundation. But the second one I'm going to talk about is boundaries.
Yes.
I-
Huge. That's
yeah.
huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is a saying in the recovery rooms, don't date for a year. You have to keep a plant alive or for a year
Right.
or whatever,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
date.
Yes.
I've never taken it serious, and it's probably the hardest thing that I've had to do.
Wow.
And that's just the men part of it. I had to learn that confidence in myself, learn what I like and what I don't like just in life, and not have the other person there kind of as a crutch or guiding me in different directions, even if it
Absolutely.
was good. I had
Absolutely.
to learn that.
Yep.
And
Good analogy.
yeah.
Yeah. You've traded crutches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now your crutch is Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It really is okay to
Yes.
have Jesus as a crutch. Somebody said to me one time, they said, "Oh, you Christians, you're weak-minded people. You use Jesus like a crutch to get through and get through life." And I'm thinking, okay, I'd rather use Jesus as that crutch than even the things you and I have been talking about today that
Yeah.
people use for crutches. But
All
so I didn't mean to interrupt, but
No, it's
that was
okay.
just a great time to
Yeah.
throw that in. Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
And then to thine own self be true. It's kind of a saying, but to me, I lost my values. I lost who I was. And in that, I lost my confidence in myself. I wasn't, and I didn't even realize it. And so I had to figure out what those things are important to me are, and then live according to those. And then that confidence comes back. So when I say boundaries, it's that, make sure that I'm taking care of me before anybody else.
Yeah. So number 1, God. Number 2,
Boundaries.
clearly defined boundaries.
Yes, very much so.
And you have a third?
I do. And that's, I call it kind of like an attitude of gratitude, I guess.
Attitude of gratitude.
Yeah.
I like that.
And it's
Yeah.
those things that I'm grateful for, it's taking it one step farther. And I write a gratitude list every day and showing that I'm grateful for those things. So if I'm grateful for my mom and my dad, which I am,
Yes.
showing that. How can I show that in my life? If I'm grateful for my job, how do I show that? And that aligns with my goals. That aligns with my actions that I do every day. And taking that inventory of myself on a daily basis kind of guides me to where I need to go.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Jenny, any closing words? Is there anything that you feel like you've forgotten to say, or anything in conclusion you might want to just share to wrap up things?
That today I can believe in myself, and
Yeah.
I've never been able to do that, and my parents can say they're proud of me. And I can be a friend.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
That's awesome. And you have become a very important part of our church family here as well. And so, as a pastor, I just don't say this as a pastor. I say it as someone who, too, has hurts, hang-ups, and habits that were trying to rob me of future hopes and dreams. My journey is not the same as Jenny's, and some of you watching here today or later, as this video is continued to circulate through people sharing, your journey may not be the same as hers, It may not be the same as mine, but regardless of what your hurt, your hang up, your habit is, no matter what your addiction might be, it could be codependency, chemical dependency, mental health issues, anger, depression, anxiety. We don't know. There's a long list of things that throws us into the pits of life. And, we're here today not to glorify the pit. And we spent a lot of time talking about the old Jenny, but we're not here today to put that on a pedestal. That's a part of her life that she's not bragging on. It's a part of her life that positioned her to be the woman that she is today. And she couldn't be the woman that she is today, who is successfully doing her recovery, walking a life of freedom, I believe not only for all the reasons that she's already shared to you, but also having a church family. So I really encourage you. And, I know that this broadcast is sponsored by a church, and I am a pastor, but let's just call it what it is. When we're desperate enough, we'll do anything to get to the point of freedom that we so desperately desire. And I can tell you today that the keys that she's mentioned, along with surrounding yourself with people who will love you unconditionally, speak truth to you when you need to hear it, because there's been times I've needed a kick right in the seat of my pants. I need to be told the truth. And we find that, in a lot of our 12-step programs. But here at our church, we have a program called Celebrate Recovery, where we do focus on being and developing friendships and camaraderie, but also being truthful with each other, being that sponsor, being that accountability person. And so, to me, I think that's really what the church should be and is all about. Jenny, I'm glad that you are my sister in the faith. I love your story. I love what God has done in you. I love the transition. Thank you for sharing, being transparent, being vulnerable here today. And we hope that you will take some time to share this and get this broadcast out. This has been Talk Real Life. Thank you for joining us. My name is Darren. This has been Jenny. We hope that you'll look for future videos and that we know your life will be blessed.